Right, time now to take a look at the very latest in the politics wrap. Natasha Piri standing by to bring us some insight. Natasha, very good evening to you. What's happening in the world of politics?
Thank you so much, Mpo, and to our SABC viewers. Welcome to another segment of the Politics Wrap. As you've seen, Team SABC has been covering the ANC's NEC this past weekend, and of course, this is our focus this evening. The ANC has introduced a new membership system that will verify the credentials of those wanting to join the party. Prospective members will have to go through stringent measures as well as write motivational letters as to why they want to be a member. This was outlined by the ANC's head of political education, David Makhura, during the launch of the party's foundation course, which is a compulsory mass political education campaign for its members. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says the foundation course will equip ANC members to be better public servants. Part of this is a new membership system that the ANC has set up to ensure that it does not attract rogue people to the party. The ANC president conceded that political education within the party has weakened over time, and he hopes this course will turn the tide. Now, joining us more on this is political analyst Mr. Oscar van Heerden. Thank you so much for joining us on SABC News on the Politics Wrap, Mr. van Heerden. Now, you've heard earlier on, and you must have seen that the ANC has actually introduced a mass political education campaign that is compulsory for all members. How do you think this political education will actually make a difference in how ANC members actually conduct themselves?
Well, I think that one of the assumptions that is being made is that it's only young people that wants to join the ANC. I'm not sure if indeed the head of the political school is aware that I'm sure there's going to be people from all ages and all backgrounds, some of them also illiterate, that would want to join the ANC. But we'll have to see how they are going to put them through their paces in terms of political education. Look, I think the truth of the matter is that some kind of political consciousness will stand you in good stead if you want to be involved actively in a political party, even if it is at a branch level. At the very least, you need to have an understanding of the country, of the party, of the challenges and so forth, and what it is you want to change in your community. So political education is the right way to go. I'm just not sure if it's going to be able to roll out in mass.
Also heard there the ANC head of political education, David Makhura, just outlining some, measures when it comes to introducing the new membership system. So new members, prospective members, will actually have to write motivational letters as to why they have to join the ANC. On the sidelines of this, he also told me about a verification process, as well as a probation period for 6 months. What do you make of this? And, does this actually, this probation period, is it not a little too late, perhaps, to actually introduce such measures?
Look, the truth of the matter is, Natasha, these are all measures that the ANC is bringing in because there's been a massive erosion of the caliber of members that have joined the ANC over the last few years. And they're trying everything in their power to try and correct that. The truth of the matter is that it's one thing to talk about political education. It's one thing to talk about writing a motivation letter. It's quite another when you have people in certain areas and regions, and we know which areas and regions it is, where people are simply buying votes, giving people money to vote for them so that they can be councillors, so that they can be chairpersons and so forth of branches. We know, for example, the involvement of massive groups of taxi owners that has run amok with ANC branches in the Tshwane area and so forth. Gangs that is also getting involved because money talks. So, it's going to require a complete overhaul. One would think these are the beginning steps, something that is in their control, but they need to do a very serious introspection if they want a renewed cadre in the ANC.
But on the backdrop of what you just said right now, do you think that this new system that they've actually put in place will prevent those undesired elements, as you've mentioned?
Yeah, no, look, I mean, if they do it properly, if they have the the back end, because that's the other problem. You're going to need people that will be able to receive these letters, go through them. A whole system will have to be established in terms of going through them as if it's an interview process. It's requiring a lot of work in the background, and those are people that are not necessarily just going to do it voluntarily. So it's a massive operation, but I think the ANC is clearly thinking of its future. It feels it's going to be around for a long time still, and they're prepared to put in the effort.
Do you think it's also practical and possible for the ANC to actually re-sign its 600,000 members, as was suggested by the former ANC Deputy President Ramaphosa?
Look, I mean, I think if they are really serious about renewal, I think that's a very key proposal, because it's not only the new intake that they need to be concerned about. There are rotten apples in the ANC already. How do you get rid of them? Now, some of them have decided to jump ship. They've gone to MK, to EFF, and so forth. But there are still plenty within the party. People that have been mentioned in the Zondo Commission, people that have been charged, others not yet charged, but certainly ethical questions around them. These are all people that you're going to have to deal with. And when there's a large number of such people within the highest decision-making structure of the ANC, then it becomes a serious problem.
And I'm so glad that you actually mentioned the Zondo Commission. Over the weekend, we also saw the NEC adopting the terms of reference when it comes to the Integrity Commission and the step aside. And of course, the NEC has actually directed its Secretary General, Mr. Fikile Mbalula, to actually speed up the process of establishing a panel that will deal with the appeals processes, the reviews, the findings. But I mean, is the ANC actually afraid to be too firm in its decision making? Because time and time again, we see panels and being established to actually deal with such issues.
The problem is that I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think that this whole process was thought through thoroughly. The problem with the Integrity Commission, for example, is that they hold people to a particular high standard. Even if the allegations made against you is proven to not be true, or that you are still going to test it in a court of law, the argument of some of the IC members is that you've already brought the organization into disrepute. And now some people out there know this. And they make allegations, they trumped up allegations to put you in a bad light. And then the IC says, well, you've brought the organization into disrepute. We think you should stand aside. The problem with that is that people are increasingly arguing that the IC or the NEC of the party can't necessarily be the court of law. They have not been found guilty. They've not been through an internal process to test these allegations, and yet they are asked to step aside. And every turn, these comrades in the ANC are winning the argument.
Mr. Van Heerden, my last question, just briefly, I just want to take you back to the comments of the ANC chair that he made on Sunday while celebrating the life and legacy of the ANC's long-lasting president, Mr. Oliver Reginald Tambo. He had this to say time and time again about the GNU, that the GNU was not a planned or predetermined thing. It was actually a consequence of the electoral outcomes. Your thoughts?
No, I think that is correct. I don't think the ANC went into the elections thinking they're going to form a government of national unity. I think they wanted an outright win. I don't think the DA necessarily knew that they were going to get into a GNU. But kudos to all the political parties to have operated within the framework of the Constitution to set up the GNU. I do think it's important, however, when we look at some of the cracks that's beginning to emerge, to note that the GNU must understand that it is not a constitutional structure of the Republic of South Africa. It has formed government, but as far as cabinet and the executive is concerned, and the president that was elected by parliament, even though it is with the help of the DA, that president's office comes with its own obligations, roles, and mandates. And I think it's a good thing for the GNU to understand that.
Mr. Van Heerden, thank you so much for your insights. We will catch up with you another time.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you. Of course, that was political analyst Mr. Oscar van Heerden. This is all that I have for you tonight on the Politics Wrap. Of course, tomorrow, the ANC Secretary General will also be briefing the media on the outcomes of the NEC, and will actually elaborate further on this new membership system and the ANC's compulsory foundation course.